JP Alexander, Rabid Dogs Unleashed. Sunday, January 2nd, 2022. First video of the new year. Shaved my beard. I was starting to look too old. It was starting to grow into my mouth. It was starting to itch a lot. And again, like I said, I was starting to look Santa Claus old, and it was good for Christmas. It's not good now starting a new year, a new me. Anyway, this video I want to talk about the Brat Pack. Not what they call themselves officially, but what somebody called them. I found out it came from a 1985 article where somebody wanted to do a story about in the New Yorker, crappy magazine, hate that magazine. Anyway, New Yorker article about Emilio Estevez, and then he ended up hanging out with the guy, and I think they went to a club in LA with Judd Nelson and Marlboro, along with Emilio Estevez, and then he was like, wow, dude, these guys are like rock stars, and then he named it all the Brat Pack. He did. He gave it that name. Not that it was very, it was kind of an insult, really, that they're brats. Even though most of them, a lot of them were in their 20s, so I think it's a little, you imagine you're 23, you might be married, and you're being called a brat. It's like, dude, I don't agree with the term, but I'm using it as a term of endearment, like hair metal. A lot of hair metal bands don't like that moniker put on them, hair metal. But I think it's a term of endearment. I think it was music during fun times, and we just had a good time listening to it. A lot of fun, So I think you would embrace that somewhat, and I would like a lot of these Brat Packers to embrace that. I know Andrew McCarthy just wrote a book called Brat, embracing his 80s, Brat Pack status. Looking back, years later, he's probably looking back at as some fond memories, But I think some guy put them into that category, and it wasn't fair. Now, I'm going to mention to you the people he put down as being in the Brat Pack, which I don't agree with all, because it's basically he picked two films. That's it. During that year, he saw him as it was in 1985, and he took him as the poster boy for this, as like the head of the Brat Pack. And he put only those two movies that year that starred Emilio Estevez, The Breakfast Club and Santa Claus Fire. And he put the stars from that: Emilio Estevez, Anthony Michael Hall, Rob Lowe, Andrew McCarthy, Demi Moore, Judd Nelson, Molly Ringwald, and Ali Sheedy, leaving out Mayor Winningham as the, because as I read, she never starred in another movie starring any of the Brat Pack members again. Okay, so I guess she's not allowed to be in the Brat Pack. Some of these people probably don't even know each other. Like, I don't think Andrew McCarthy was ever in a film with Anthony Michael Hall, but they just got lumped into that because those two movies were made, Okay, now here's the films they list as Brat Pack films: The Outsiders, Class 16 Candles, Oxford Blues, The Breakfast Club, Santa Claus Fire, Pretty in Pink, Blue City, About Last Night, Wisdom, Fresh Horses, Betsy's Wedding, and Hail Caesar. First of all, Betsy's Wedding is an Alan Alda film. It just happens to star Ali Sheedy and Molly Ringwald as his daughters. That's not a Brat Pack film. Hail Caesar, I know, starred Anthony Michael Hall, Robert Downey Jr., and Judd Nelson, but is that I don't know. I don't know why these films, because they star these how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. These 8 people they mention from being from the Brat Pack. I'm going to mention a few more people that I think are in the Brat Pack. Okay, along with Emilio Estevez, Anthony Michael Hall, Rob Lowe, Andrew McCarthy, Demi Moore, Judd Nelson, Molly Ringwald, and Ali Sheedy. I'm going to mention a bunch more who I respect have been in movies that I love, and I'm gonna draw them out here. Tom Cruise, C. Thomas Howell, Matt Dillon, Ralph Macchio, Sean Penn, Jennifer Jason Leigh, Phoebe Cates, Timothy Hutton, Charlie Sheen, James Spader, Robert Downey Jr., Kevin Bacon, Matthew Broderick, John Cryer, John Cusack, Cusack, Jamie Gertz, Mary Stuart Masterson, Kiefer Sutherland, Leah Thompson, Michael J. Fox, Patrick Dempsey, Kevin Dillon, Sarah Jessica Parker, Mia Sara, Chris Penn, Laurie Singer, Elizabeth Montgomery, Eric Stoltz, Anthony Edwards, Val Kilmer, Nick Cage, Matthew Modine, Keanu Reeves, William Zapka, with honorable mentions to Mayor Winningham, Patrick Swayze, and Judd Reinhold. These people, I think, all deserve to be on this list. If you're going to say who reminds us of the '80s, who do we grab onto um, as I hold on to as great actors and actresses during this period? They're around my age. I graduated high school in 1983. I was born October 5th, 1965. A lot of these people here are around my age, you know. Yeah, and and some other films I want to mention along with the films they mentioned: Taps, Ordinary, People, Heaven Help Us, Footloose, Weird Science, Risky Business, Top Gun, Racing with the Moon, Birdie, and Ferris Bueller's Day Off. I want to mention those films along with all the other films they have there as Brat Pack films. Um, yeah, before the Brat Pack came around, you can have Joe Lucas in there and draw the Corey's in there. Corey Haim and Corey Feldman. Draw them in there. Draw them in License to Drive also. During the '80s, before the '80s, you had teen movies like American Graffiti and Grease, and Polka's in the early '80s, where the high school kids, well, like 30, they didn't look like high school kids. It looked ridiculous. I'll give Grease a pass because it was a musical, but I was reading about Porky's, which I fucking hated. I thought Porky's was not a good movie at all. Not a good. It was stupid. It was offensive towards women. It was just total shit. I couldn't stand it. Anyway, the movie Porky's had one of the students was older than one of the actresses playing the teacher. Kim Cattrall was 4 years younger than one of the guys playing the high school student, and she was playing a female gym teacher. It didn't matter to them. They just drew him. Oh, go on out there. Yeah, okay, go on. It was just stupid. Stupid is what it was. So I would say these films, especially here's one. Best Times, Ridgemont High, that I didn't mention, that I should have mentioned. 1982. That was one of the first films I saw where, even though I think they said only Phoebe Cates was 19 and Nick Cage was 17, in that movie he only had like a little role, a supporting role. A little role, like only a few scenes he was in. They were the only two real teenagers in that, but everybody else was kind of like early 20s. And that's when I first saw movies that kids look like my age. I mean, and then I saw 16 Candles, and she was really 16, just turned 16, I think, and Anthony Michael Hall was 15 when that movie was made. And, he looked like high school. They look like high school students. So that's one of the reasons, I like those movies, because they look like real high school students, because they were in real life, And one thing I'm going to mention here, and I know a lot of people might not agree with me. One thing that hasn't aged well for me, one of these movies, is The Breakfast Club. And the problem I have with The Breakfast Club is the casting. Um, Either they should have made um, Emilio Estevez, Judd Nelson, and Ali Lee Sheedy younger, or they should have made Molly Ringwald and Anthony Michael Hall older, because Anthony Michael Hall and Ali Lee Sheedy were when that film was filmed. Anthony Michael Hall was, I think, 16, 15, 16. Molly Ringwald was 16. Uh, Judd Nelson was 24. Emil Estevez was 23. And Ali Sheedy was 23. And you look at Ali Sheedy and Michael Anthony Hall, they didn't look like they belonged in the same class together. And you had, Judd Nelson and Anthony Michael Hall, even Judd Nelson and Mike Ringwald were like 8.5 years apart. Judd Nelson and Anthony Michael Hall were like 9 years apart, and it showed. So I would say either get the two younger actors played by older actors, because if they're all on the same age, you can't tell that much. They're all in the early 20s, fine. Or you get the other three to be younger, because the other three, in the same year, only a few months after that film was released, they released Cinema's Fire, where these three played recent college grads. So you have these three playing high school students, age 17, 18. Then a few months later, they were playing 23, 24, which is more closer to their age. They looked way more believable in Cinema's Fire, where they played, and Judd Nelson was playing an aide for a congressman, and the other one he's playing a dirtbag in school. Like, I mean, that's called acting, I know, but he just looked. I think I wouldn't say ridiculous, because he played probably one of the best roles in Breakfast Club, but I just think to me it looked. He looked way different than, Anthony Michael Hall. So, like I said, either put the two younger ones older or the three older ones younger. I would actually have seen like the three older ones younger. But then you don't have Judd Nelson. No, to take the two younger ones, make them older. Okay, fine. That's the only problem I have with that film. And there's some films here, like First Bueller's Day Off. Adam Ruck, I think, was 30 when that film was made. So you do have some instances of some actors and actresses who are too old to be playing the parts they're playing. But for the most part, a lot of these, C. Thomas Howell in The Outsiders was 83. He was born in 66, so he was 16, 17. That's good. Ralph Macchio was a little older, like 21, something like that. But he just looked like a kid, Oh, you can even draw Back to School, and you could draw the Karate Kid in here as Brat Pack films if you want, because they had members of the Brat Pack in them. So yeah, that's what I want to say about the Brat Pack. Not a title they put upon themselves, but a title I think they should embrace, because it's a lot of us from those days love them and think they were great. And I'll swear by any of these actors and actresses, their 80s careers. Every movie I mentioned, none of them were terrible. I mean, they were all watchable, and I just like that time, that carefree time. No war. The 80s was, wake me up before you go. I thought some great, some great performances here. Some great actors and actresses. Oh, a shout out to a movie made later that was a Beautiful Girls. Good movie. Timothy Hutton and Matt Dillon, also starring Uma Thurman, Mira Sorvino, Martha Plimpton, Rosie O'Donnell, Michael Rappaport. Good film. Very good film about a 10-year high school reunion. I think a great cast. I think a great movie about how you got to grow up. You can't live in high school anymore. You got to grow up. And yeah, that's what I'm going to say. So this list over here is something I've been working on, and all these came from my mind. I grew up in that time. I grew up in, I've seen these films. I was going to the movie theater watching these films. I was like, yeah, let's go see. Yeah, I was there. I graduated '83. When I saw Fast Times at Ridgemont High '82, these kids in the movie were going to graduate the same year as me. I saw them at the food court in the mall, and I'm like, yeah, I've been to not that food court, but a food court like that. I remember in class it was like that. I just remember that's what I remember. I remember doing the thing at the beginning of the year where they're going, the cheerleaders are going and they're into school spirit and everybody's just, oh, do we get, it's better than being in class, but we don't really want to be here, yeah. So I'm glad they started to make films like this. Like not a film where someone's making out with the teacher, and then no, not those stupid movies that we can't relate. These I can relate with this. I can relate with 16 Candles. Not one serious thing in a whole movie, because that's like high school. There's nothing serious. High school was one big joke. It was one big joke, having a good time, and I missed those days. That's why I love films now like American Pie and Clueless. These are, high school films that I love, and that bring me back to my high school. Not not about suicide, death, teen pregnancy. No, just having a good time. Believe me, when you get older, serious shit comes. So that's all I got to say about that. Ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it for the Brat Packers. And when anybody mentions any one of them, just say, yeah, I like that guy. I like that gal. Yeah. Me and Sarah. Throw her out there. I mean, what happened to her? Whatever happened to her? Jamie Gertz. I know she was in Twister. But me and Sarah, whatever happened to her? Sarah Jessica Parker, we know what happened to her. But, Lori Singer, where is she? I miss some of these people. They give me money to make a movie. I put my first movie I'm gonna make when Hollywood studio gives me a couple million. I'm gonna throw some of these people we haven't heard from in a while in that film. That's my pledge to you. And that's what I gotta say about that. Ladies and gentlemen, until next time, JP Alexander for the Web Dogs Unleashed. And until next time, ciao.